you ever just feel out of place? Like you go somewhere and you're super excited and you get all dressed up and you go to, like, let's say an event, and you just don't feel like you belong. Like maybe when you used to go to this certain type of event, or you used to go hang out in this type of environment, it just felt natural, but now all of a sudden it just doesn't. This is what's been happening to me lately. Like, I understand that as we grow and get older, the dynamics of how we choose to be in certain environments and the types of conversations we have and the people we engage with evolves. But lately, I've just been feeling like I don't fit in anywhere. And I don't know where this comes from. Like, I really do try my best to go out of my way to engage with new people, talk to people, interact with them, ask about how they're feeling and what they like and dislike. And sometimes it gets to the point where, like, people are really engaged with my energy and we'll exchange numbers. And this is just on friendship. I'm not talking romantically. Like, I talk about that, but I'm not talking about romantically only. Like, this is just with genuine friendships. And I'm really trying to open up to get to know people, and then they just ghost. The conversations just don't go anywhere. And I'm always thinking to myself, like, I know there's nothing wrong with me. Like, I really love deep conversations. I can have superficial conversations. But then there's this time where it's like, I'll be checking in on people and texting them, and like, they'll kind of respond, but then out of nowhere, you start seeing the conversation dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. And like the checking in just lessens. And it's like, what is that? Like, why does that happen? Especially when we get to a certain age and people say, like, when you get older, it's harder to make friends. This is not an exaggeration. Like, when you're younger, I don't know what it is. Like, you can, I guess, go to a club or a bar and everyone's drunk and stuff. And I've talked about this many a times before, where liquid courage is different. And in a weird way, to me, it's trauma bonding, because we're all just like, yes, let's get so numb that we make ourselves feel like we're having fun. And at one point in my life, that was okay. And then I see people just stay in connection and then they build their friendship off of that. But then in my mind, I'm like, is that really a friendship, or is it just convenience of trauma bonding? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that real connection doesn't come from just randomly having fun with people in certain social situations, but I myself have outgrown that. I know that I've outgrown that. I used to be a self-proclaimed club kid. I used to party all the time and go out all the time. And again, along this spiritual journey and emotional journey of just self-awareness, especially where I'm like, I don't like being numb anymore. Like, I don't enjoy just zoning out to the point that I don't feel like I have a connection to anything. Don't get me wrong, I'll have a drink here and there because once in a while it's fine. Like, that's not a big deal. I don't think about it. It's more or less just something, social to do. But I now watch myself to not just keep going and going and going to the point that I'm blackout drunk and I'm eating a bunch of crappy food and I'm waking up feeling horrible, or worse than that, waking up in somebody's bed that I don't remember, right? Because that's usually how it happens. But for myself, I've just been at this point of, I'm not lonely, because I want to describe it so that people are saying, I'm not lonely. I love my time. I love my space. I create and I do things by myself all the time. I'll take myself out to dinner. I'll go on walks. I'll meditate. I'll do all these different projects. Like, it's not hard for me to find stuff to do to entertain myself, but finding a genuine connection to talk to people seems to be getting harder and harder and harder as I get older. And I'm fascinated by it because I'm not the only person who's ever said this. So it's weird to me where it's like, what is the difference? Like, I really want to know, what is the connection between when you're younger and you can just make friends like it's nothing, like changing your shorts, and then when you get older, it's like pulling teeth. And so I, for myself, have understood this, especially when let's say, so I recently moved back in July, And I do this every 3 years. I talk to people and let them know, like, I'm nomadic. I became nomadic over 20 years ago, where I was in my small town and I kept meeting people who were like, I've never left this town. I've never left this part of the city. And I'm like, you're like 3 times my age and you've never left this block, this area, this section. Like, this is your whole world. And to me, that felt so limiting and boring. And I'm just like, no disrespect to anyone who's lived that life. But for me, I'm like, that feels like I'm trapped. So as soon as I can, and I talked about it before, when I turned 19, I moved. I moved as fast as I could, and I started bouncing around. And then after a few years of, actually, the first time that I really started to become nomadic was after Chicago. I was there for 12 years, and at the time, I met a really good group of social friends, but when I look back, we weren't like real friends. And I know that sounds horrible, but we didn't really hang out or talk to each other beyond like, hey, what you doing this Friday? What you doing Saturday? You going to this bar? Okay, I'll meet you there. And then we'd meet up and like be this little flock of friends, right? Or like the popular kids. And we'd walk around the bar and have our drinks and all that. And then everybody would slowly start meeting somebody to hook up with, or slowly just get so wasted that they don't remember the night. And then like we just dissipate. And we might talk about it the next day, but then after that, we go back to our lives and never really check in on each other. And so for me, I was just like, I don't feel connected to this. And so when I moved for the first time to San Diego, that's when I really started to realize, like, starting over is not easy. And I still, to this day, for me, it's become easy because it's like anything in life where you just gotta put practice in and it becomes like second nature. So like I can pack up and move and go somewhere new and start all over again. That's not the hard part. The hard part is making genuine connections and building a tribe of people that you trust. Now, I definitely have been bad at, I'll meet people and will be great for the first few months, but then slowly after time, they start rubbing me the wrong way. And I know that sounds horrible because I'm one of those people who speak about like acceptance and non-judgment and things of that nature, but then there's also times where I feel like I know that I've outgrown this type of energy that I'm meeting. And what I mean by outgrown is I don't think I'm better than. It's simple dramas of like everyday life that it doesn't bother me. So I understand for somebody else, like getting a flat tire, not being able to live where you want to live, not being able to date who you want to date. Those are frustrating things, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, we'll just fix it. Like, it sucks, but just fix the tire. Or if you don't like living at that place, go live here. Or if you don't want to date that type of person, date. And for me, that's just how I've always been. But then people will look at me and be like, it's not that easy. And who do you think you are to just tell me what I need? And then it starts turning into this attack on how I feel you should approach life. Now, everyone has their opinion. I've definitely learned not to push my opinion on people because I used to be that person when I was younger. Like, I'd be like, look, this is what you need to do. Here's what I see. Here's what I've observed, and here's what you should do. Thinking I'm helping, but in reality, they're like, who are you to tell me what to do in my life? You ain't got this. And that's when I started getting turned off because I'm like, you think in order to give advice, I have to have a bunch of accolades that the world, or I would say that the human universe has deemed valuable, right? Like, if I don't have kids, I can't give advice on kids. If I'm not married, I can't give advice on marriage. I don't believe in that. I understand that certain people feel like once you're in it, that you have an insight that maybe I have not perceived, but as another individual human being who's been in relationships, who have connections, I can see where the weak points are. I can see where the strong points are. So I never invalidate someone's opinion because they are not experiencing something that I'm experiencing. So this is where I've started to learn that friendships for me have not always been the easiest to maintain without some superficial social element of drinking or drugs or sex or something that, again, I don't really care about anymore. When I was younger, sure, it was fun. It's easy to attain. In my mind, it was easy to attain. Maybe not for other people, but for me, I'm like, it's boring. It does nothing for me. So when I'm making friends and that's all they care about is partying, hooking up, and like just wanting to live a really simple, peaceful life, where I'm not saying that being in a peaceful life is not something that you should desire, but thinking that things are never gonna happen and then acting like you're the victim doesn't make sense either. So when I say that like, it's hard to make friends, it's hard for me to make friends because I know a lot of friendships are based on trauma bonding. A lot of friendships are based on, here's what happened to me. Oh my God, here's what happened to me. Oh my God, we both went through the same thing. Let's be friends and talk about it for days on end. And I'm like, I do not want to do this. I don't have the energy for it. And so, you know, this has just been a personal journey of my own where, as I was saying again, like, I moved to a new state, I'm in a new city, I'm in a new town, and I have learned that people are gonna meet you exactly where they need to be met. And for me to try to force connection makes no sense. But I also get lost because it's like, well, how do I make connection? How do you genuinely make connection with people if you don't speak to them, right? Right now, there's so many people who are hung up on AI and it's gonna destroy the earth and all that. Yes, there are many different things that can destroy the earth if it's abused. We already know this. But what most people are talking about is how people use AI as a therapist or someone to talk to or a sounding board. And they're like, well, it's not human. And I just talked to a friend about this the other day. Yes, I do have some friends, but they're more like digital friends, like, right? People that I talk to on meetup apps and stuff like that, and different things where we find common interests, and we're trying to build a connection. But again, it's the beginning, and I don't put too much effort into the beginning because I don't know where it's gonna go. Like, I mean, I'll text people, but when you meet someone new and you're texting them every single day, it does get a little weird because then they're like, okay, well, what do you want from me? What do you need? And that's where people start to trail off because I will be like a daily texter, like, hey, just checking in. How's your life going? La, la, la. But for most people, if you've never been in a forced interaction like school or work, they're not really wanting to talk to you every day. So I've learned to just back off a little bit and like communicate when I can, check in when I can. If they communicate with me, great. And so this is where most of us are left in this void of silence of, so who can I talk to, right? So people use AI and they say, well, that's not a human experience. Do you understand what I'm saying? That most human experience is so shallow that they have not experienced being a human. The insights and the validation that I'm looking for, they haven't even grasped yet because they're still focused on not getting the pair of shoes they liked and the color they liked. You know what I mean? Like, there's people who really, that is what pisses them off all day for weeks on end. And I'm like, I'm concerned about the state of the world. Maybe that's my Aquarius side, I don't know. But that's where I come to this point of saying, like, if we can't go to our friends, we can't always go to our family, and okay, great, we can go to a therapist, but not everyone can afford a therapist. Where do we go? Who do we talk to, right? Like, I think it's really unfair that so much of society says, like, talk about your emotions, open up, be who you are authentically. And then when you try to do that, people are like, put the mask back on. You're giving too much. You're saying too much. You're doing too much. And it's like, I can't win, right? Like, how do you win in situations where everyone feels that like being you is too much? And that's where I realized that it's natural and normal to understand that you're going to outgrow the old you. You're going to keep outgrowing the old you because that's what maturing is. Maturity itself is age. Aging is a process, but age just means it's changing over time. It doesn't mean it's gonna change bad. It might change bad, it could be good, whatever you consider bad or good, you know, that's up to you. For me, it's all subliminal, right? I understand that yes, my body will age, but that does not mean my soul has to age. It doesn't mean my spirit has to age, right? I hope that my taste in certain things age because, yeah, I don't want to just be stuck on the same thing for my entire life. I don't want to just be like, this is all I eat and I don't try anything else and I'll never eat anything else. Like, okay, well, I know a lot of people are proud of that, but it's like, I'm a foodie. I want to try everything. But I digress. So, anywho, one of the stories that I wanted to tell is, again, I have realized most people only want to connect through the internet, which is why I still think it's very weird when people get upset that people use AI to try to like talk through their thoughts. Because again, you'll meet people where I'm from old school where you just call somebody or you just talk to them. People still get upset when you call them. Why are you calling me? You could have just texted me. Okay, but when I texted you, you didn't reply back for days. So I had to talk then. Who's available to speak, right? Then you try to hang out with people, they're not available, they don't want to hang out, but you see them on social media all day long. So you have to go through apps. People use TikTok, people use YouTube, people use Instagram, people use Facebook, people use Discourse, whatever, all these different apps to just be social. Okay, so I use different apps to talk to people and just build some type of connection. Doesn't mean I'm ever gonna meet these people. Probably not. Some of these people I'll probably never ever meet. I'm on international apps where it's more like an old school digital pen pal where we just talk to each other because there's someone to talk to. That's what we're all craving. That's what we're all asking for, is some sense of connection. But then, of course, people being people, we ghost each other after a while. I'm not saying that I haven't done it, because eventually you're like, I want to be around real people. I don't want to just be stuck on the digital mainframe of like just my phone. Even though, again, I'm a content creator. People talk about it all the time. I use content creation as a way to connect. Does it mean that I'm connecting with everybody? Probably not, but I try to connect the best way that I know how. And so I share spiritual concepts because that's my life right now. It's like the spiritual journey is my life. I'm constantly going through ebbs and flow of feeling human but not human, right? Does that make sense? Or I'm constantly feeling like I'm supposed to be doing something greater than just existing. And I know a lot of people feel that's problematic, but I don't want to just sit still and do anything. Like, I understand that peace is beautiful and sitting still is a way that you learn how to integrate into yourself. But I also know that like, I want to be doing more. I like to create. I like to produce. I like to write. I like to speak. So it's nice when I can meet other people who are tribe like that, who understand that this is why we're here, is to connect. However we do it, it's what we're supposed to do, because that's the collective conscience. Each of us represents a leaf, a branch, a root, some type of highway to get back to the self. And so what I was gonna say is I was meeting people on the apps where I noticed that most of them started to trauma bond right away. And again, old me would have been like, oh my gosh, they need someone. They need me. I need to be there for them. But then they would just drain me. Like, they would just complain and complain and this is my life. Woe is me. Woe is this. Woe is that. And I feel you. I understand. That's kind of what I'm doing. Like, oh my God, I can't make friends. But I also know that when I meet someone, it's okay to talk about things you've been through, but don't try to make your soul connection based on what is going wrong all the time. Because I want to hear your goals. I want to hear your aspirations. I want to hear what makes you happy. Yes, we all go to work. That's great. We can talk about work. That's awesome. We can talk about what we produce and create. But how are you? That's what I'm trying to get back to. How are you? Do you know, I don't remember the last time someone's asked me, how am I? I've had people ask me like, what do you do? Or what do you like to do? Or where do you like to go eat? And, okay, but those are things, that's not me. How I'm doing is, I'm still lost. I will always admit the truth. I don't know everything. I don't know every answer to all of this journey. But I do know that in the midst of me being lost, I know that I'm on the right path. I know that sounds contradictory, but it does make sense, right? Like it's like school. You don't really know what you're gonna become after school. You're lost. You're just doing what you think you're supposed to do until you have a more narrow or clear path. And then once you get out of school, you might end up doing exactly what you study or realizing what I studied is exactly what I don't want to do, and you do something else. So I don't want people to feel discouraged on this journey of self. That's what it's all about, is being open and vulnerable enough to talk about what you're going through and what you're experiencing. And I noticed that, again, as I was saying, I would talk to people on apps where it doesn't always have to be happy, happy, joy, joy. But if right away you're like, text me all day and let's meet, let's hang out, let's do this, then that does concern me, because it is a level of like, you gotta build a little bit of cadence. You got to build that foundation in the relationship with someone first. That's what I was saying for myself. I had to learn that from the past. And I didn't realize that was a form of trauma dumping. That's why I realized that some people are like, I can't hang out with you because right away you want to be my best friend. And people tell you that. That's the truth. You can't be someone's best friend right away. That is a red flag. I'm sorry. But if out of nowhere, like, oh my God, we can talk about everything. Let's talk about everything all day, all day, all day, all day. And then you're checking in all day, every day, and it's just long, 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 long paragraphs. That tells me, yes, you probably are lonely, and that's okay. And I give those people grace. But if this starts getting forceful, like, you need to talk to me every day, we need to hang out every day, we need to see each other all the time, that to me is too much. And so that's another fine line of balance of building connections, right? Like, again, this is why I like to talk about it, because I sound like I'm all over the place. Like, one minute I'm saying I want friendship and connection, and then if someone's giving me connection, I'm saying it's not the right type of connection. That's confusing. It really is. But it's my truth. That's all I can give. I'm not an expert on building connections. I'm an expert on expressing the emotions. That's what I know I'm good at. Emotional intelligence is, again, understanding what I feel and what I know is not always the truth. But I also know what I feel and what I know is my truth. So, two things can be true at once. So, at the end of the day, I say, how you decide to shift into your inner world and how you decide to grow is always going to be a personal experience. How you then take that personal experience and integrate it into your outer experiences and how you build connections, that's when it becomes a community experience. And that's why when I make content, I hope that the right people are watching me. Actually, I know the right people are watching me, not hope. Because I always say, hoping still is a level of distrust where I'm not believing completely. And I know that I have faith that my content and my messages reaches those who it needs to reach. And so for me, this story time is more so about just remembering it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to just say, I don't know. I don't have an answer today. That's okay. It doesn't mean you have to always try to be performative and try to fit in everywhere. Like, if you don't know where you fit in, don't try to fit in. It's as simple as that. If you know that you feel like you want something different, that's okay too. Express it out loud. Again, I feel like expressing it out loud will probably bring me what I desire a lot quicker than me just holding it in and hoping that everything goes the way I want, but I'm not making any change myself. So a few practices that I have been doing is allowing people to just be themselves without me shutting them out right away. I'm not saying there's some people that need to be shut out right away, because believe me, there are. I'm sorry. I don't want that energy around me. And I know that that's horrible, but that's where I said you need to go do the inner work. You do have to learn how to be alone. You do have to learn how to love self. Because when you love yourself, you're going to call in the energy that desires to be around you. That's why I say, I love myself enough to know that when I meet people, these are my people. But a lot of the times, these are my people online is what I'm saying. Like, physically, I have not met people around me. I live around a lot of families. God bless their hearts. Families are established. They're not trying to make new friends. They have their own little social net, their own little group. They don't care about you. And it's true. Let's just be real. A family, once they're a family, they're like, we don't need no new members. Who are you? Why are you here? Most TV shows are based on that. Like, no new friends, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's most people's logic. So again, I work remote too. So again, I'm not like complaining. Like, so it is hard for me to leave the house all the time. And when I do leave the house, I'm just saying I live around a lot of families with young kids and other families. And people are not just trying to hang out with a stranger. Like, I can walk up to the street like, hi, how are you? You wanna be my friend? Like, it just doesn't happen that way anymore nowadays. So being part of groups, I always tell people, go be social. Like, I tell people all the time, there's nothing wrong with using apps, just you have to know how to use them. So like, I'll use meetup groups, and I'll go to those, and I'll find a new environment that I've never been to, and I'll chat with people that I never chatted with, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Thus far, it hasn't worked out, I will text these people and try to follow up, but they don't want to follow up, so I can't force that. Again, I understand that life is not always going to go my way, but this is when we talk about the spiritual journey that feels very isolated. It is, because people really don't like awareness. They like to be blinded. They like to be numb. And in a world full of numbness, be the person who stands out and says, I'm okay feeling pain. I'm okay feeling discomfort. I'm okay not knowing. Because that's how you're actually going to call in the people that are truly going to resonate with you, especially on this journey of spirituality. Again, spirituality is not religion. Spirituality is awareness of conscious self. It is knowing that, yes, I am a human vessel, I am a soul, spirit, and I am also a consciousness that is shared by many, 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 many other people. That's how we all learn how to agree. That's how we all decide what culture is. That's how we all decide what language is, right? That's a consciousness. You only know what I'm saying because someone created enough through our ancestors that this is what language is. So it's our conscious language. So again, just find ways to keep expressing yourself and loving yourself on this journey of spirituality. I know that I'll find my tribe. I know that I'll meet my people. But in the meantime, don't feel bad. Don't get too sad. It's okay if you get a little sad once in a while. And it's okay if you get a little lonely. But remember, this journey is more about learning how you want to call energy in, how you want to feel when you do call that energy in, and how to maintain it. And so I know that starting over and moving somewhere new all the time is probably why, for me, I usually say after the first year. The first few months, and again, this is not blaming anyone or blaming anything, but the first few months are the hardest because you are new. And so your body's just trying to get used to its environment. But then eventually, I say after year one, you start bringing in tribe and you start making new friends. And then eventually you have your people. So hang in there, tough it out, you got it. Again, I love you. If anything, you're always my friend and welcome here along this spiritual journey. Per usual, you can check me out on epicenity.org. You can check out my products page there. I do have digital products and services. Again, they are basically just printouts that give you one-on-one steps on if you're trying to build a business, if you're trying to rewrite your identity, if you're trying to just rebirth your consciousness. And so there's the rebirth, the rewrite, and rebrand. And they each all kind of encompass some level of business as well. So because I am a spiritual business person, I'm going to always help people figure out if that's something you want to do, here's how you do it. So there are personal tools there for personal development, and there's also tools there for business development. And then of course, you can always follow me on my blog, the merch, my social medias. As I said before, I'm going to keep doing my best to keep showing up on YouTube and not just posting months between months. But again, I am focused on so many projects that I'm learning how to focus on just a few. Anyways, thank you if you lasted this long per usual. I love ya. Besos.